They didn't win the league, they didn't win the Champions League, but somehow they walked away looking more dangerous than ever. This 2026 squad, it's different, it's ruthless, and if you're a rival fan, brace yourself, because what Arsenal are building right now is downright terrifying. But how good is this squad, and can they win a treble this season? Well, let's talk about it. Arsenal didn't win anything last season. No league title, no Champions League, but that doesn't mean it was a failure. It was the season that proved how close they are to becoming one of Europe's most dominant sides. They finished second in the Premier League, and they only lost 4 games. That's the same number of losses as Liverpool, but the difference? Arsenal dropped too many points through draws, matches they should have killed off. They let slip, and in a title race that close, that was the difference. It wasn't that they weren't good enough, it's that they didn't finish the job in key moments. But what shocked people was in the Champions League. They beat PSG 2-0 in the group stage. That wasn't a lucky win, it was a tactical masterclass. Then they smashed Sporting 5-1, got past Girona 2-1, and then came the game that changed the narrative. They eliminated Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. People called that impossible, but Arsenal didn't care about history. They created their own. That performance gave fans real hope that the Champions League could be theirs. And then came the heartbreak. A second clash with PSG, this time in the semi-finals, and Arsenal just didn't have enough. They were knocked out. It was painful, because they were that close to a final. But here's what matters now. Arsenal isn't settling for close anymore. That season lit a fire in the club, and this summer, they've made it clear. They're going all in. No half measures, no compromises. This rebuild is about finishing what they started. Let's start with the base, the backline, because that's where Arsenal began their transformation. First, David Raya. Last season, he proved exactly why Arteta made him the number 1. Game after game, Raya pulled off crucial saves that kept Anfield in tight matches. His calmness on the ball, his positioning, his reflexes, he was one of the main reasons Arsenal didn't concede more in high-pressure situations. But the problem wasn't Raya, it was depth. He had to play nearly every game. There was no solid backup. So, when the schedule got heavy, fatigue started to show. That's why, this summer, Arsenal made a smart move. They brought in Kepa Arrizabalaga. Now, I know Kepa didn't leave Chelsea on the highest note, but his time at Bournemouth reminded everyone just how good he can be. He's agile, good with his feet, and he's used to the intensity of English football. As a backup to Raya, it's a step up from what Arsenal had before. In tight stretches of the season, Kepa can step in without dropping the level. That is exactly what a title-challenging team needs. Then there's the centre-back pairing, Saliba and Gabriel, arguably one of the most balanced duos in Europe. Saliba brings the composure, the reading of the game, and that calm authority. Gabriel brings the aggression, physicality, and aerial dominance. They complement each other perfectly, and most importantly, they've built that chemistry that only comes from playing together, week in, week out. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really supports us and helps us keep bringing you exciting new content every week. Now, let's talk fullbacks. On the right, Jurrien Timber has locked down that position. He was originally seen as a versatile defender who could also play centrally. But let's be real, he fits in the right-back role like a glove. He's quick, sharp in one-on-one situations, and comfortable pushing forward with the ball. It's a different dynamic for Ben White, who's still a very strong backup option on that side. On the left, Arsenal might have one of the most exciting young fullbacks in Miles Lewis-Skelly. Technically gifted, composed under pressure, and not afraid to get forward. He even scored against Man City last season. Cut inside, placed it in the top corner. Moments like that show this isn't just a good young player, this is a potential star. And Arsenal have depth here too. Calafiori, when fit, is solid. His biggest issue, it's always been his injuries, but when he's available, he offers real quality as a rotational piece. Defensively, Arsenal have built a unit, not just a first-choice backline, but real competition and quality in every position. That's what top teams need, and now Arsenal have it. But defense is just the start. Midfield is where the magic happens. This is where Arsenal made some serious changes. and honestly, it could be the difference between coming close and winning everything. First, let's talk about the biggest shift. Thomas Partey is gone. His contract wasn't renewed, and while on paper that sounds like a big loss, Arsenal didn't just replace him, they've upgraded. They've brought in Christian Nergo, and it's about time he got his move to a big club. He's been one of the most consistent holding midfielders in the league. At Brentford, he was always that guy cleaning up messes, organizing the press, and reading the game better than most. He's disciplined, physical, and calm under pressure. In many ways, he's what Arsenal needed in those gritty moments where Partey sometimes fell short. But they didn't stop there. They also signed Martin Zubimendi, and if you've watched him at Real Sociedad, you know exactly how important this is. This guy is Arsenal's version of Rodri. He doesn't just keep the ball moving, he dictates the rhythm. He's positionally intelligent, protects the backline, and always picks the right pass. At Sociedad, he formed a dominant duo with Mikel Merino, and now he's walking into a midfield with Declan Rice. Speaking of Rice, nothing's changed. He's still a machine. He covers every blade of grass, wins the ball cleanly, and drives forward when needed. Since his debut, he's been reliable, consistent, and vital in big games. Now he's surrounded by players who can help him play even better. This is no longer a midfield carried by Rice. This is a midfield built to compete at the highest level. Then there's Martin Odegaard. Last season wasn't his best. 6 goals and 12 assists in 45 games. It's not terrible, but it's not what we expect from a player of his quality. But here's the thing with Odegaard, he always improves. Every season, he finds a new level. Now that he's had a proper rest and he's got more support behind him, he's going to be sharper, more creative, and more dangerous. And one name that we shouldn't forget, Ethan Nwaneri. He's still young, but he's already showing signs that he could become something special. If Odegaard needs rotation or even competition, Nwaneri could grow into that attacking midfield role and offer something different. Arsenal's new midfield three will likely be Odegaard, Zubimendi, and Rice. That's balance, control, and leadership all in one unit. And with Nergo ready to step in when needed, there's no drop in quality. And let's not forget they also have Merino, who was good last season. This midfield isn't just good, it's built for control, dominance, and winning big games. But if the midfield is the brain of the team, then the attack is the firepower. This is where Arsenal have always had potential, but what they've built for this season looks like the most complete attacking unit they've had under Arteta. Let's start on the right wing, Bukayo Saka. We all know what he brings: direct, sharp, intelligent. He reads the game at a level far beyond his age, and he's only getting better. Last season, he missed a few games through injury, and you could feel the difference in Arsenal's play. They lacked that spark on the right. That's why having a fully fit Saka this season changes everything. But the real improvement? Arsenal finally addressed the one issue they've had for years: Saka's backup, Noni Madueke. This is a big signing if they do it, not just because of the name, but because of what he brings to the system. Madueke is unpredictable, fast, and fearless in one-on-ones. He's a different kind of winger. He thrives in chaos, and more importantly, he gives Arsenal an option off the bench who can change a game instantly. For the first time, Saka doesn't have to carry the right side every week. Madueke can step in when needed, and that could make a huge difference over a 60-plus game season. Now over to the left wing, where Arsenal are fully loaded. They've got Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard, two players who bring very different qualities but can both deliver in big moments. Martinelli's explosive. He takes on defenders, stretches the line, and has that aggressive edge. Trossard is calmer, more calculated. He drifts into central spaces, creates overloads, and finishes chances with precision. The problem last season was that Trossard was used in multiple roles: false nine, central attacking mid, left wing, and sometimes even in midfield. But he's at his best when he's settled on the left wing, where he can isolate defenders and make things happen. That's the plan this season: keep him on the left, let him cook, and rotate smartly with Martinelli. Now to the striker position, which has been the most debated role at Arsenal for years. For a while, it was Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz. Let's start with Jesus. His talent has never been in doubt. He's smart, quick, and links play beautifully. But he's never been a consistent finisher. And his injury problems, it's made it pretty hard for Arsenal to depend on him across a full season. Then there's Havertz. He had moments, he held the ball up well, dropped deep, and gave the midfield an extra body. But that's part of the issue. He often looked more like a midfielder than a striker. He wasn't ruthless in front of the goal, and Arsenal needed someone who would finish off the chances they worked so hard to create. So, Arteta made a bold move. He went out and got a true number 9, a finisher, a killer, Victor Gyökeres. This is a game-changing signing. At Sporting, Gyökeres was unstoppable. He played 66 games, scored 68 goals, and added 17 assists. Those are ridiculous numbers, and it wasn't just in the Portuguese league. He showed up in Europe too. He's strong, fast, clinical, and works hard off the ball. He presses defenders, drags them out of position, and when he gets a side at goal, he doesn't hesitate. He's what Arsenal have been missing since the days of a prime Van Persie, a striker with a killer instinct, and even though he's only recently broken into the top level, his overall record speaks volumes. Over 160 career goals and 55 assists in 268 games. That is elite output. With Gyökeres up top, Saka and Martinelli wide, and Odegaard pulling strings behind them, this front line finally looks complete. There's balance, there's depth, there's variety, and most importantly, there are goals. Now Arsenal have options. If they need width, they've got it. If they need dribblers, they've got them. If they need someone to finish one chance in a tight game, they finally have that too. This is not the same Arsenal front line that ran out of steam in big moments. This is a front line that can go toe-to-toe with any defense in Europe. But having a good squad is one thing, winning titles is another. They've fixed the cracks in the goal. They've reinforced their backline with smart rotation options. Their midfield has gone from hard-working to world-class. And up front, they now have options, not just in names, but in styles. They can adapt, they can rotate, and more importantly, they can finish games. Last season was about proving they belong at the top. This season, it's about taking over. Arsenal are done playing catch-up. This 2026 squad is built to compete, built to dominate, and if everything clicks, they might not just be the scariest team in England, but one of the scariest in Europe. This is the season Arsenal stop chasing and start conquering. But what do you think? Can they conquer? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our latest